in this.
How would you compare the Obama administration to the Bush administration when it comes to Iran?
I can't find a comparison. A little less bellicose, but the same thing. I do think I have every reason to believe that, unlike Mr. Bush, President Obama really is worried about an attack. He doesn't want to see the Israelis bomb Iran. That's the kind of talk we've been getting in the press lately. And there's new, as you mentioned, the 30,000-pound bombs built by Boeing, I think. The problem is that most of Iran's facilities, the ones that we know about, the declared facilities under camera inspection, a place called Natanz, is about 75 to 80 feet underground. And you'd have to do a hell of a lot of bombing to do much damage to it. You could certainly do damage to it, but the cost internationally would be stupendous. The argument for going and bombing is so vague and so nil. There's been studies done showing, technical studies, MIT and other places, and the Israeli government also has had its scientists participate in these studies, showing it would be really hard to do a significant amount of damage, given how deep the underground facilities are. But you hear this talk about it. And there's, you know, look, this president has said nothing about what's going on in Tahrir Square again. We're mute. He's been mute on this kind of the bellicosity. But my understanding is that purely from inside information is that he does understand the issues more. I think it's right now a political game being played by him to look tough. You know, everybody's chasing, you know, the independent vote. I don't know what's so important to go after people. I can't decide whether they're Democrats or Republicans, but that seems to be the name of the game.
Well, let's turn to the response in Israel to the IAEA report. Yesterday, Israeli Defense Minister Ehud Barak said in an interview with CNN, the time has come to deal with Iran. When asked specifically whether Israel would attack Iran, this is how he responded.
I don't think that that's a subject for public discussion. But I can tell you that the IAEA report has a sobering impact on many in the world, leaders as well as the publics. And people understand that the time had come. Amano told straightly what he found, unlike Baradei. And it became a major issue that I think duly so becomes a major issue for sanctions, for intensive diplomacy with urgency. People understand now that Iran is determined to reach nuclear weapons. No other possible or conceivable explanation for what they had been actually doing, and that should be stopped.
That was the Israeli Defense Minister, Ehud Barak. Asai, your response?
Well, what makes me nervous is Barak and Bibi Netanyahu are together on this. They're not always together on many things. They both agree. And that's worrisome because, again, it's a political issue there. The country is moving quickly to the right, Israel is, obviously. And I can just tell you that I've also talked. Unfortunately, the ground rules are so lousy in Israel, I can't write it, but I've talked to very senior intelligence people in Israel rather. If you notice, you don't hear that much about it, but the former head of Mossad, Meir Dagan, who left, who was the guy that orchestrated the attempted assassinations in Dubai, etc., no dove, has been vehement about the foolishness of attempting to go after Iran on the grounds that it's not clear what they have. They're certainly far away from a bomb. Israel's been saying for 20 years they're 6 months away from making a bomb. But I can tell you that I've talked to senior Israeli officers in Israel who have told me, they know that Iran, as the American intelligence community reported, I think it was in 2007, there was a national intelligence estimate that became public that said, essentially, Iran did look at the bomb. They had an 8-year war with Iraq. A terrible war, 1980 to 1988. And we, by the way, the United States sided with Iraq, Saddam Hussein at that time. Iran then, in the years after that, they began to worry about Iraq's talk about building a nuclear weapon. So they did look in that period, let's say 97 to 97 to 2003, no question, the American NIE said in 2007, it was augmented in 2011. I wrote about it a year ago in the New Yorker. It said, yes, they did look at a bomb. But they knew that they couldn't. There's no way they could make a bomb to deter America or Israel. They're not fools. Persian society's been around for a couple thousand years. They can't deter us. We have too many bombs. They thought maybe they could deter Iraq. After we went in and took down Iraq in 2003, they stopped. So they had done some studies. We're talking about computer modeling, et cetera, no building. They, no question, they looked at the idea of getting a bomb or getting to the point where maybe they could make one. They did do that, but they stopped in 2003. That's still the American consensus. The Israelis will tell you privately, yes, we agree. They stopped most of their planning, even their studies, in 2003. The Israeli position is they stopped not because they saw what we did to Iraq, but they thought that we destroyed Iraq. I had a general tell me this. We destroyed Iraq in, it took them, we did in 3 weeks what they could do in 8 years. They thought they would be next. But the consensus was, yes, they stopped. And also, if you asked serious, smart, wise Israelis in the intelligence business, and there are many, do you really think if they got a bomb, and they don't have one now, they would hit Tel Aviv? And the answer was, you think they're crazy? We would incinerate them. Of course not. They've been around 2,000 years. That's not going to happen. Their fear was they would give a bomb to somebody else, etc. But there's an element of rationality in the Israeli intelligence community that's not being expressed by the political leadership. It's the same madness we have here. There's an element of rationality in our intelligence community which says, in 2007, and it said it again last year, they don't have the bomb. They're not making it. It's an NIE. 16 agencies agreed, 16-0, in an internal vote. Before that, they did an update in 2011 on the 2007 study and came to the same place. It's just not there. That doesn't mean they don't have dreams. It doesn't mean scientists don't do computer studies. It doesn't mean that physicists at the University of Tehran don't do what physicists like to do, write papers and do studies. But there's just no evidence of any systematic effort to go from enriching uranium to making a bomb. It's a huge, difficult process. You have to take a very hot gas and convert it into a metal and then convert it into a core. And you have to do that by remote control because you can't get near that stuff. It'll kill you. So radioactive. I mean, so, look, I'm a lone voice, and you know how careful the New Yorker is, even in a blog item. This piece was checked and rechecked, and I quote people, Joe Cirincione, an American who's been involved in disarmament many years. These are different voices than you're seeing in the papers. I sometimes get offended by the same voices we see in the New York Times and Washington Post. We don't see people with different points of view. There are inside the not only the American intelligence community, but also inside the IAEA in Vienna. There are many people who cannot stand what Amano's doing, and many people who basically, I get emails, and this piece came out, was put up, I think, over the weekend, and I get emails like crazy from people on the inside saying, way to go. I'm talking about inside the IAEA. It's an organization that doesn't deal with the press, but internally they're very bothered by the direction Amano is taking them. It's not a scientific study, Amy. It's a political document, and it's a political document in which he's playing our game. And it's the same game the Israelis are picking up on, and those who don't like Iran. And I wish we could separate our feelings about Iran and the mullahs and what happened with the students from 1979 into the reality, which is that I think there's a very serious chance the Iranians would certainly give us the kind of inspections we want in return for a little love, an end to sanctions, and a respect that they insist that they want to get from us. And it's not happening from this administration.
Seymour Hersh, I want to thank you very much for being with us. His latest piece is on the blog at The New Yorker. It's called Iran and the IAEA. Seymour Hersh won the Pulitzer Prize. His piece you can see at The New Yorker's website. This is Democracy Now! When we come back, we are going to talk about Egypt and the scores of people who've been killed there just over the last few days as people protest in the lead up to the parliamentary elections, calling for the end of military rule in Egypt. Stay with us.